Dear teachers and fellow students, today we are going to dive into Anne Frank's diary and know who she was, why she got into hiding, and how she was baited out when the police were searching for her, and also how her diary changed the whole world. We are also going to have a comparison at the end about how the modern COVID era is different from the confinement era. Over to you, Shiva.
Frank. Anne Frank was a German girl who was straightforward, outspoken, and very sensitive girl. In the novel, Anne Frank had received her diary, which she named Kitty on her 13th birthday. In the novel, she has mentioned all the problems she faced. She was very sensitive person who felt that her mother did not understand her and only took side of her elder sister. She also considered her father as a role model and loved and respected him. She also in the annex felt a strange attachment to Mr. Dan's son Peter. She considered him as her boyfriend, but still she considered him to be a immature. Anne Frank always felt that if she could go out once and study in the same that she used to study.
Thank you, Shiva. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm Manan Malik. I'm going to talk about Anne Frank's time in the hidings. Anne Frank, the smart and slightly impertinent teenage girl who hid in a secret annex at Prinsengracht in Amsterdam, along with her sister Margot Frank, her father Otto Frank, her mother Edith Frank, and Pils family, which included Herman van Pels, August van Pels, and Peter van Pels, who is the son of Herman and August, for more than two long war years. Posthumously, she became the face and voice of Jewish people who went into hiding. Secret Annex, not a guest house. In her diary, Anne Frank called the secret annex a special guest house. At first sight, maybe this isn't such an inaccurate description. The conditions of being in hiding in the secret annex were exceptionally favorable, and they couldn't have wished for a better hiding place. A day at Secret Annex, that is on 23rd August 1943. Anne's day began at quarter to 7. There was strict schedule because by 8:30 the annex had to be completely silent. Even the washroom was a no-go area. That was when the work began for staff of the warehouse. They didn't know that Anne and others were hiding in the secret annex. They used to spend the rest of the morning reading, studying, and preparing lunch. The helpers and the people in hiding used to eat together in the annex. Then at 1 o'clock, the radio was switched on for the latest news. The helpers went back to work at quarter to 2, and people in the hiding had a nap. Anne used this time to study and write. By 4 o'clock, it was time for coffee and dinner preparations. The warehouse workers went home at 5:30. Their helper, Beth Boswell, usually popped in after that to ask if any of them needed anything. By quarter to 6, the people in hiding spread out through the building. Herman checked the Dale's mail, and Peter fetched the bread left for them at the office. Otto typed business letters. Anne and Margot did some office work for the helpers, such as filing letters. They also washed themselves in the office kitchen, the only available hot water. After dinner, the group would read, chat, or play games. When the sun went down, the windows had to be blacked out. After that, the secret annex went quiet. Thank you, everyone, and over to you, Ayush.
On Friday, 4th August 1944, was a warm and sunny day in Amsterdam. To the people in hiding, it was the 761st day in the secret annex. More than 2 years since the day Annie and her family had entered in the hiding place on 6 July 1942. Between half past 10 and 11 in the morning, police officers showed up at the building at Prinsengracht. On the ground floor, the police officers addressed employee Willem van Meren. He referred them to the first floor, where the office staff was. On the first floor, the office staff was working when the door suddenly opened. Helper Meep Keys was one of the office staff. The police officers walked into Victor Kugler's office. As the managing director, he was responsible for the business operations. They questioned him and took him with them to search the building. After an inspection, the police officers discovered the entrance to the secret annex. The police officers locked the group of 8 people in a large room and arrested helpers. Then they were taken in for interrogation. The police tried to find out if the helpers or people from the secret annex knew of other hiding addresses. Johns, and, Johns Clayman and Victor Kugler kept silent. Otto Frank said that after 25 months in the secret annex, they had lost all contacts with friends. John Clayman and Victor Kugler were separated from the group of 8 people and were sent to detention center. Of the 8 people in hiding, Otto was the only one to survive the war. The Meep gave the paper fallen from Annie Frank's diary to Otto when he returned from Amsterdam. Over to Diana.
Anne Frank. Anne Frank was a German Jewish teenager who was forced to go into the hiding in Nazi occupied Amsterdam, Holland during the Holocaust. Shortly after receiving a diary for her 13th birthday, the girl started recording entries on June 14, 1942, and she continued writing down her impression while confined with her family and 4 others lived. They hide behind a bookcase in a concealed attic space in her father's office building. The young girl entries were made in a form of a letter to several imaginary friends, and she also employed to conceal the identities of her fellow lives and accomplices. Like many other normal teenagers, Anne recognized over her conflicted feeling about her family and a possible romantic interest as well as her involving thoughts about life. But her extraordinary depth and fine literary ability, combined with her optimism in the face such the adversity, made her account a literary and a historical treasurer. Anne would end up by spending 2 years and 1 month closest in the hideaway before the group was betrayed and sent off to the concentration camps. Of the 8 persons in the hiding in the attic, only her father would survive. Anne would come to know that she has typhus in Belsen 1945 March. She was just 15. A family friend later retrieved the diary from the attic and presented it to Anne's father after the war. Upon reading it, Otto Frank persevered to get it published. The diary was first appeared in Amsterdam 1947 and was subsequently published in US and the United Kingdom as Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl in 1952. It is immensely popularity inspired award winning stage and a movie version.
In these tough times of the widespread pandemic, made us all gated and confined to boundaries. The same situation of confinement, isolation was experienced by Anne Frank. Despite the prospect of school being far, all the children kept up with their education, studying, as well as taking other courses to supplement their learning. They had limited materials, relying on what books their friends could smuggle, but they never stopped trying. Like Anne Frank, we are also trying to keep ourselves busy and indulged in work and studies and adapt to online classes. Living in such close quarters brought out some of the worst sides of everyone's character in the hiding. Some occurrences were commonplace, but confined quarters made big issues out of small problems. As many quarantined people together in the pandemic would have noticed, people spending too much time together in a confined place leads to arguments and inculcate feelings of frustration and loneliness. Annie over time got so lonely, she became friends with Peter, who was in the hiding. Though they never liked each other at first, due to lack of options, they became friends. Humans are the social animals by nature, and being kept away from the society for so long will make us find solace anywhere. It is worth noting that for all the challenges they confronted, Annie and the 7 others managed to live in the annex for over 2 years without completely succumbing to despair. Likewise, we also confronted the challenges we faced in these COVID times, be it dealing with health, isolation, and adapting to the new normal. We have turned out to be victorious, just like Anne Frank.
Thank you, Bhavika, for that comparison. And I would like to wrap it up here by telling a big thank you from my whole team for watching our video. Thank you.